numbered verses. Good morning.
Good morning.
You could read every third line. Whatever makes you happy.
That would not make me happy. That would be, while systematic, way too nonsensical.
Every fourth word. We'll just read every fourth word, see if people can figure out what it is.
I know what it is.
I do have the order in with Fidelity to jump to 100 meg.
It's just a matter of when they get around to giving us 100 meg.
I probably need to call them and follow up with that. I just have not had the time. But yes, punch it up. 100 meg down, 10 meg up, which translates into 80 down and 5 up. But
But at least we'll get the 5.
Well, hopefully we'll get the 5. Anyway, good morning. It is January the 21st, right? Right. The 1800s. That would make today March the 5th.
No.
So that's one of those that it was at some point in news coverage yesterday. Something was said about for the 13th time on January. They changed that. Anyway, let us begin. Meet me, O Christ, in this stillness of morning. Move me, O Spirit, to quiet my heart. Stream resumed. From the discords of yesterday, resurrect my peace. From the discouragements of yesterday, resurrect my hope. From the weariness of yesterday, resurrect my strength. Enter this new day, aware of my need, and awake to your grace, O Lord. Amen. There you go. Have a book. So, today is Thursday.
Yes.
We typically talk about church and small group stuff on Thursday.
Yes.
And we realized this morning that basically I say the same thing every Thursday. You should go to church and you should be in a small group. And
no, that's not what we just said. We have said that multiple times. We didn't say that you said that every Thursday. That is not what the discussion was.
No, you're right. The discussion was that it did seem that we were kind of in this loop, though, of, well, we can talk about this, okay, and then it ends up kind of, that's what happens. This is actually why I have to have sermon outlines, otherwise I do recurse back. We learned that when I was first started preaching. It's like, that's weird. After an hour and a half, you finally said the same thing that you said last week. Like,
You never preached that long.
No, I used to get close to an hour from time to time, but
occasionally, yes.
I was never any good that long. So instead we thought we'd talk about how to structure and approach the idea. Instead of simply reminding, hey, you should do this, how should you do this? Obviously it's a little easier to just kind of join in with one, but what if you're in a situation where you're going, there's not anything like this going on, what do I do? Right?
Right.
That was what we talked about?
Yes.
So,
what's our first point?
What's our first point? I don't know. I
wrote it down.
You think I can read that? I can't read that.
I can read it.
It says idea for group.
Idea for group. Okay, so the first thing you want to do, you do not want to form a thing that you want to do is come up with an idea. Now, that doesn't mean you have to do it all by yourself.
Right.
You might partner with a couple of other people and say, hey, I'd like to start a small group. What do y'all think? Let's brainstorm together and that kind of thing. It doesn't mean that it has to all be on you to make the decision, but you do not want to form the group until you have an idea.
Right. And so when we're talking small group, we're talking size of, that kind of your target size is 7 to 10 to 12. 12 is probably your top end size that you're looking at.
Because once you get to 12, the amount of time that you have to slot every week to have the small group so that everybody feels like they have an opportunity to participate. You also have, that ends up being, you're going to need easily 2 hours, if not 2.5, group and never say anything.
Help.
And you really want to, I'm one of those that if I'm not leading, I just as soon just sit there and not say anything. I need to be drawn out.
Right.
Whether I like it or not.
So
you want really 7, 8, 9, 12 is the absolute max, but I would say, your goal should be fewer than 10.
Yeah. And what I would go with 12 is almost the idea of if you try to recruit 12, you're going to come up short.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you try to only recruit 7, you come up short and you get 5.
Right.
A group of 12, and you know, one of them betrayed him and the rest of them ran off scared. So, you know, I mean, that's...
Well, and if you're doing, if you're recruiting, yes, you want to recruit a specific number. If you're doing kind of a, hey, here's the idea, here's the topic, sign up if you want to, that's when you want to make sure to have a cutoff number.
Have a cutoff
hey,
number.
You know what? This group has gotten too big. Why don't we start another one? Let me see if I can find a leader, kind of thing.
Let's start. So you want to have 1 or 2 people who you kind of chat about the idea with, and then from there, hey, we want to
2 or 3 that you
and count yourself in that number.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that way if you and 2 people put it together and then you recruit 7, that's a group of 10. That's a good that's a good sized group. So and you want to have an idea that you want to do it first of all, and that's going to we should put together a Bible study group, or we should do this. But to take responsibility for, hey, how do we, on that, which comes to the next thing. A lot of times with a spiritual small group, it's going to originate from your church, and so you want to talk to your church leadership about doing this.
Right.
And not just, and talk to your church leadership does not mean call the church secretary and say, hey, put this in the bulletin. That's not talking to your church leadership. Most churches have, a pastor or somebody else who is involved in kind of planning, guiding
if your
Bible
church
studies.
has a discipleship pastor or something like that, that's the person you want to talk to.
You want to talk to those people and find out, first of all, you may have this wonderful idea for a small group, and what really has happened is you don't know that there are small groups at your church, if you're at a large church especially.
Right.
And now church leaders, don't rain on the parade, okay?
Right.
To answer some questions. And you also maybe need to be prepared for, if you don't have answers for these questions, that you're going to need to kind of walk with your church leadership while you find these answers. And it may be that they say, hey, you need to, let's spend the next couple of weeks looking at the answers to these questions before we turn you loose.
The intricacies of building a small group, and they know what you're going to run up against that you have no idea because you've never done a small group before. So it's important to listen to them. A couple you already have on hand. I'm going to lead a Bible study. I'm going to write it as we go. The answer is probably going to be no, because they are responsible.
Unless you're in my church, then the answer is definitely going to be no.
The struggle that it can come. I mean, he knows my theology, and he knows that theology will lose steam, to fall apart, and to present something that is really is scattered, doesn't meet the need, whatever. Even have it done, and then take it to the church leaders and say, "Here, I've written this.
If you want to write
I'd
your
like to
own,
lead this.
Tailor it to the needs." No. You write it about that. Realize that sermon prep, to do well and to do the proper research, runs anywhere from 20 to 30 hours a week per sermon. If you're writing it yourself, should take that same length of time. And if you've got no background and then you're going to kind of loop back. The other thing to be prepared for is, are you looking for, what are you looking for? Are you looking for something that is biblical developed, character, this, that, encouragement?
And it can be a book study. It can be a Bible study. It can be, it can be a mentorship program where you have a guide that helps you go through 6 months of mentorship with a small group. Hey, we're going to be a focused prayer group, and here is the prayer guide that we're going to use, or they're just recording. And so we just
stream resumed.
Stream resumed.
If you just, Oprah was talking about this, and no. You need to demonstrate some understanding. Can you give me some suggestions? Guess what? I got about 3, and
Stream resumed.
Okay, I'll call Fidelity today and try to nag them.
Try to nag them.
But anyway, I've got shelves of it where I can say, oh, well, you want to study this? What? I've got a study on my shelf for that. If you want to do that, there are reasons that Okay.
We're back, but we're going to call it a day. In short, have an idea. If you don't have an idea, ask for help, but make sure you go to the church leadership.
Yes.
So,
Wonder if we're going to have to start doing this in the living room.
we might.
Doug and Ann from the couch, from the breakfast table. Because I think it's the relay.
There's no telling. Here we go. Psalm 139, 1 through 6. Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I stand up. You understand my thoughts from far away. You observe my travels and my rest. You are aware of all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you know all about it, Lord. You have encircled me. You have placed your hand on me. This wondrous knowledge is beyond me. It is lofty. I am unable to reach it. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you that you know us, and thank you that you do surround us. I pray that we will rest in you today as we finish out the week well. In your holy name I pray. Amen.
Amen. All right.